Good morning, YouTube. Suzie and Real Babes have now been in the emergency room for, what time is it? 15 hours. Haven't seen anyone yet. Clear this screen off a little. I'm pretty sure the same people that are in charge of Luma are in charge of Medico Centro. I'm going to get my sunglasses out of the car, and I think we're going to be getting this room for another night. Real Babes and Suzie are still in the ER. Let me see, what time is it? 10. They've been there about 17 hours, and they haven't seen anyone yet.
It's 3 a.m. We're in the same place we were last time I checked in. Wally went and he got a hotel room to get some rest, and Suzie and I are still in the hallway. Okay, it's 6 a.m. Hopefully we'll be making some news sometime in the near future. I know I never speak loud enough on these things, but it's kind of like not appropriate for me to be loud in here. Anyway, it's 7:30 in the morning. We still haven't seen an ER doctor. Shift change happened at 7, so hopefully something soon. Good morning, friends. It's 9 a.m. We just saw a doctor. Finally, they changed shifts. The morning doctor came around, basically confirmed everything we already knew, and said that he would contact an ophthalmologist that would show up here at some point, hopefully today. And he's like, listen, if you go anywhere else on the island, you're not going to be able to get to see an ophthalmologist any sooner. And we're like, yeah, we know. That's why we're going to fly to the States. He's like, well, that's ill-advised because of the gravity of the situation. He thinks that she'll get attention here faster, which, I mean, I guess he would know, you know. So we're gonna wait still, again, some more, another day. Suzie got a nap. I have not. Wally went to the hotel room and got some sleep. I'm gonna give him a few more hours to rest up. And once he's done, I think we're gonna trade spots for a little while so I can get to take a nap too.
So I'm going to try to book this room for another night, and that way they have a place to shower up, rest, so on and so forth, before Suzie has to fly back to Washington. I just got the room for another night, and I'm back at the hotel, and I'm heading back up to the room right now. Okay, 20 hours later, Suzie finally saw the ophthalmologist specialist, and he said he wanted to get a second opinion from another doctor that is there, that is currently in surgery. So now they're waiting on that, which means in 20 hours, we realistically could have flown her home to Washington, and she could have seen a specialist in Washington already. This is really frustrating. Got to get my parking ticket validated. Looks like we must have got a little rain when I was taking a nap. I have managed to lose my validated parking ticket. I don't know what I'm gonna do. They're probably gonna try to charge me an arm and a leg. Okay, they literally will not let me out. But she said I can go back to the front desk and they should give me a white card, which I'm gonna do right now, because this whole thing is pretty unnerving. I'm going through the drive-thru at Church's to get them some chicken fingers and french fries. They have now been in the emergency room for 22 hours. I've got chicken fingers, french fries, bananas, waters, and I'm back to, or heading back to, the Medico Centro. And I did get the room for another night because it looks like they might be in the emergency room for several days. Parked and waiting. I guess Suzie is going in for her second examination or evaluation. Just heard word from Real Babes. They are going to discharge Suzie on the condition that she flies directly to Washington and sees a cornea specialist ASAP. The situation's pretty bad. They think they're going to be able to save her eye, which is really, really, really scary. And I just wanted to say, I wanted to give a shout out to Danny from Rio Piedras and say, okay. And that was awesome. It was really good meeting you. And I hope your mother-in-law is doing okay. Let her know that we're thinking of her. I just heard some parrots squawking, that stereotypical like parrot squawk. And I looked up, they were flying over, and it was different. It was louder and raspier, and they were huge. It was two macaws. They were silhouetted, so I couldn't see what color, whether the red or the blue and gold. But it was two macaws, like the giant, like big macaws. That was really, really cool. We are waiting for Suzie to be discharged. Not sure how long that's going to take. And we're getting her a flight out of here ASAP. There's one that leaves at 1 a.m. tonight, so that's what we're trying to do. In other news, my beard is continuing to shrink, and Real Babe seems to think that's because of the hard water at our house, which I think she might be onto something, because we spent some, I think it was like 3 days down in Guajama about a year ago, and the water down there was soft water, at least the water in our Airbnb. And sitting in the pool all day and showering and whatnot, my beard felt so soft and nice, and every time I'd pass a mirror, I'd be like, oh my goodness, look, my beard looks so good. And at home, it gets crunchy and it breaks off, and every time I like shampoo it in the shower, I end up with like a handful of beard hair. Maybe I'm just going bald, but like on my beard. My brother did the opposite. He went bald on his head, And next thing you know, he grew like a 2-foot long beard. And then he had some girlfriend that wanted him to cut it off, and he refused to. And then they broke up, so then he cut it off, but they stayed broke up. And he was pretty bummed out about that. But now he's got a cool girlfriend, and his beard's back. So, yeah, just kind of rambling. I know the girls are absolutely starved. I found a Sizzler. It's like 2 miles away. And I think that's probably our best bet. I just sent them a text. Was like, hey, y'all want to hit the Sizzler? I haven't heard back yet. But I did want to touch base on something. I was eating the Whopper the other day and mentioned being homeless. And somebody in a comment was like, hey, can you touch base on that? And I've been homeless several times. Sometimes voluntarily. Like I chose to live in a van in order to save up $5,000, which is what it cost me for the down payment and the closing fees on the very first house I bought. The first house I bought cost me $38,500. I ended up selling that house 2.5 years later, and I walked away from the closing table with a check for $99,900, like almost $100K. And I was like, okay, real estate, that's what I'm going to focus on. The first time I ended up homeless was not voluntary. I moved out at a very, very young age. Found a room for rent, and essentially, which was like a single family home partitioned off into a bunch of rooms. It was an illegal boarding house, if you will. It cost me $320 a month. I was working at Target. This is in California, as a cart attendant, and I was working at, I can't remember the name of it. It was a department store attached to the mall. I did stock and all that stuff. And then I was also selling bootleg t-shirts at night at concerts and involved in some other stuff to make money as well. And the cost of living in California, even back then in the 90s, was so atrociously high. I was barely cutting it. That $320 a month room was quite literally the only thing I could afford. I got into it. It was, in California, it was first month, last month, and deposit. So I was able to scrape up that money. That's how I got into that place. And then I came home one day, and I pull onto my street, and everyone in the house is standing outside, and there's police there. And I get out of my truck. I had a 1986 Toyota SR22 pickup truck at the time. And I got out of the truck, and everyone's looking like bad. And one of the girls that lived in the house came up to me, and she was crying. And I was like, oh my goodness, what's going on? And she's like, we're all homeless. And I'm like, what do you mean? And basically, the lady that we were all renting from, the owner of the house, she didn't even own the house. Like, nobody knows how she got the keys. Nobody knows who owned the house. And I don't know if there was an eviction process, like if she was squatting. Like, we don't know. All we know is that the cops showed up that day, arrested her, and like escorted us and all of our belongings, everything out of the house. And next thing you know, I didn't have like any real furniture or anything. All the furniture I had was like stuff that I picked out of the trash. So I loaded up all my clothes and stuff in the back of my truck. And I remember that first night I was like, oh my goodness, where am I going to sleep? Like, what am I going to do? I ended up driving up into the hills on some dirt roads where I used to go four-wheeling as a kid. And I slept in the back of my truck. And I ended up living in my truck for quite some time. And that's when I was saving the money, because apartments, a 1-bedroom apartment at that time was about $700 to $900. I don't even know what rent is out there right now. It's got to be atrociously high. But that meant I needed $2 to $3 grand to get into another place. And so I was living in my truck forever. That's when I was eating the 99-cent hot dogs, or the 99-cent Whoppers, and I was cleaning off the hot dog rollers and putting new hot dogs on at the AM, PM, and I would get the old hot dogs for free. And that's what kept me going, and that's what allowed me to save up a little bit of money and get into another place. So yeah, it was a terrible experience. I finally ended up basically moving in with 2 girls that had a house. They were au pairs there, and it was a pretty sweet deal, actually. In exchange for taking them surfing and teaching them how to surf, they let me live in the 3rd bedroom. And that was an awesome opportunity. I'm still friends with one of the girls. The other one's like dropped off the face of the earth. Nobody knows what happened to her. But that was a really good opportunity. I was surfing like almost every single day. I was still working every single day, and I was saving up some money, which was awesome. So yeah, that's my little homeless experience. The first one. Looks like the girls are pretty stoked about the idea of Sizzler. And Sizzler, I'm pretty excited if we do end up going, is also kind of nostalgic for myself. There was a lot of them in California in the 80s. And my parents would take, and of course my brother would come with us on my birthday or anyone's birthday. That's where we would go to Sizzler for the steak and all you can eat shrimp. And I think in the 80s it was like $13. And I don't think it's that much more now. I think it's $19.99 or like 20 something. But I mean, that's 35 years, you know what I'm saying? So it didn't go up too tremendously high. But yeah, I remember they had commercials all over the place. And yeah, it was I think it was like $12.99 or something. And that was a big deal. Like when we were kids, like that was highfalutin. Like that was like fine dining. Yeah, that was a pretty special thing. I remember the salad bar. I'm getting excited. I think we might go to Sizzler. I'm sitting here talking about Sizzler and my childhood and whatnot. And I'm remembering stuff that is kind of funny. Back when my niece and nephew were younger, Real Babes and myself were living in North Charleston. It was the second house I bought. It was hand built by the owner in 1950. And it had a big brick fireplace, gorgeous. And we would, of course, celebrate Christmas there. My brother would come up, my niece, my nephew, we'd have stockings for them, Christmas trees, stuff like that. And one Christmas, they're going through their stockings, and my nephew looked at me and he said, "What did you and my dad used to get in your stockings?" And I thought about it, and I said, well, we'd get toothbrush, toothpaste, deodorant, oranges, apples. Sometimes we'd get beef jerky, and sometimes we'd get the assorted lifesavers. And they just looked at me blank. And then my niece and nephew just started cracking up, like rolling laughing. And they were like, no way. And I was like, serious? Like, why would I make that up? Like, that's what your father and I used to get in our stockings. It wasn't like toys and stuff. And my niece goes, no way, you're making this up. I said, I'm not. I'm like, you can ask Grandpa. I said, matter of fact, for Christmas one year, I got a case of ketchup. And she thought that was hilarious. And of course she thought I was lying to her, like joking. I said, no, I'm serious. Like, it was a huge box and it was all wrapped up, and I was so excited because, you know, weeks before Christmas, it's there, it's under the tree, and it's got my name on it, and it's from my parents, and it's heavy, and, you know, I'm rattling it, and you can hear a little clink, 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 because back in the day, the ketchup came in glass bottles, and clink, 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 and I had no clue what it was, but I was huge into BB guns at the time, and for some reason, in my little kid brain, I thought that I had like 10 lifetimes supply of BBs, and then Christmas morning hit, and we were allowed to open presents, and I ripped into that, and I was like, ketchup? I got a case of ketchup for Christmas? I was kind of heartbroken because I really thought it was BB's. And don't ask me why. Well, my pops kept saying, it's something that you really, really like, and you use a lot of it. And I was like, BB's. I go through a ton of BB's. I'm a BB gun freak. Like, BB's. No, it was ketchup. And I also have an update on my Pops' truck, Old Blue. Insurance is going to give him, they totaled it. Insurance totaled it, but they're basically going to give him enough money because the frame is still straight, so on and so forth, to get a new bed, new door panels, and it needs part of the extra cab that my brother is still searching for. But once they get all the parts, they're going to be able to put Old Blue back together and then get Old Blue painted. Because, yeah, my father has a tremendous amount of sentimental attachment to that old truck. Like I said, he bought it brand new off a dealer in Red Cloud, Nebraska in 1990. He and my grandmother drove from western Colorado all the way to Red Cloud, Nebraska, because my pops is super frugal, and that's where he got the best deal on it. And they bought that truck and they drove it back, and so yeah, I'm really, really, really stoked that Old Blue is gonna live. I am looking at text, and we have hit the 24-hour mark as far as the girls being in the ER. We're still waiting on them to be discharged. I know from emergency room visits in the States, it can take 20 minutes and it can take 4 hours. So here at Centro Medico, who knows how long it's gonna take, but I think we're in for a long ride. Suzie Q is discharged or getting discharged, and I am driving to pick them up right now. Okay, I guess they're still on their way down. Gotta throw her backpack back up. How are you doing?
We're doing. Check out my new gear.
You got an eye patch?
It is an eye patch. Just like I always wanted.
Oh, it sucks because it's not even like cool, like a pirate eye patch.
Like a pirate patch. Here, hand me something so I can. Oh, she can't see. All right, you can go ahead and get in.
That was 26 hours.
Yeah, I know. Some bullshit, but
you're on the mend.
I'm on the mend and I'm going home.
Okay, you ready for Sizzler?
Yeah.
Seatbelts, please.
I'm not even worried about showering. She's there and then right here.
Okay, stay in the right-hand lane.
Yeah, and then you're gonna 200 meters. You're taking a right. Looks like maybe at that light. Oh, it's in Plaza Las Americas.
Okay, how are we getting in the mall? Through P.F. Chang's or the mall entrance? Y'all managing?
Trying to. Teamwork.
The Sizzler was closed.
That?
I said the Sizzler was closed.
Oh, yeah.
Real Babes called, verified that it was here, but they didn't bother to say they were closed. Okay, I am way behind on the videos, y'all. But I'm gonna get this one out right now, and I really didn't video after Sizzler. We went into Sizzler, grubbed down, and that was pretty much it. Went back to the room, crashed out for a little bit, and then Susie got to the airport. And then Real Babes and I, of course, made it back to Arecibo. So, I hope you enjoyed our hotel and emergency room video. Love y'all, and we will see y'all in just a few minutes.